Hello again, everyone. Welcome and thank you very much for joining Dragon Trail and PTL Group for our very last webinar of 2021. Today, we'll be talking about working with China in the online era. Now, digital communications and working long distance with China was important long before the pandemic, and it will certainly be important long after. So today's webinar will run you through the essentials of working with China without actually physically going to China. I'm Sienna Perlis-Cook, the Director of Marketing and Communications at Dragon Trail International. But in a few minutes, I will turn over today's webinar presentation to our two guest speakers. We have first up Boris Schnittman, who is Vice President of Destination Marketing at Dragon Trail. And then joining us from Shanghai, we have guest speaker Yael Farjun, who's China Business Development and Marketing Manager for PTL Group. Bora and Yael, thank you very much for joining us today to share your expertise with all of us. So on the agenda today, we're going to start off with an overview of the essential online tools for doing business successfully in China. And this will be presented by Bora from Dragon Trail. Then we will turn over to Yael to discuss how to work with local partners and representatives to establish and grow your business in China from afar. Both of the presentations will include lots of real-life examples and practical suggestions from our company's many years of work in China, and especially the last two pandemic years. At the end of the webinar, we will have time for Q&A with the speakers, and you're very welcome to send in any questions that you have at any time during the webinar by using the Q&A button on your Zoom control panel, and we will answer as many as possible at the end. Please do use the Q&A button instead of asking questions in the chat, as it makes it much easier for us to see and make sure that we can answer those questions at the end. One more thing I'd like to say before we get started is that I will be sending out today's presentation slides to all attendees, either later today or tomorrow at the latest, as well as a link to a recording of the webinar. So you'll have all of the resources for your own reference, as well as to share with any colleagues who you think might be interested but weren't able to attend the live session. And then just one more thing before I hand over to Bora, I wanted to quickly introduce Dragon Trail International for any of you attending who might not know us. We are a marketing solutions company based in China with offices in Beijing, Shanghai, and Xi'an, as well as an international office in London, where I'm joining from today. We specialize in digital marketing for B2B and B2C in China. And we also do online and hybrid events and market research. The company was founded in 2009 with a specialty in the travel and MICE industries, but over the last few years, we've expanded to work increasingly with international trade, consumer goods, and the education industries. We're very proud to work with clients on every continent, and you can find out more about who they are, all of the services that we provide, and case studies of our work on our website, www.dragontrail.com. So on that note, it's time to welcome Bora to start off today's presentation with a discussion of digital tools for China.
Hi, thank you, Sienna. Hello, everyone. Before we start, thank you for joining, and greetings from Israel. Before we start, I would like to raise a question and ask you to, if you want to share it later in a chat, what is your challenge during these times since the pandemic has started, and which difficulties do you face when you work with the Chinese market? So if you want to share with us, please, and we will, it's also good for us to know what are your challenges. Now I'm going to turn off my camera to make this communication more smooth. And yeah, so we start from the beginning, right? So today we're going to do a short dive into the ocean of Chinese online marketing. Most of the focus will be on the Widget ecosystem and what can be done to leverage this tool to create partnerships and enhance communication with your Chinese audience, both on B2B and B2C level. So since the pandemic started, overseas businesses are having challenges in expanding into China. And this is relevant to companies and organizations at their entry level, those which are yet made a firm decision to establish their presence in China, and even those which have experience in the market and want to maintain their communication and engagement with trade partners and consumers. One of the biggest challenges is to navigate remotely in China trade sector. This can be relevant to many industries. So as you know, travel to China is basically not allowed these days, except of some special cases, which I won't describe now in details, but those who are interested to know more can raise a question at the end of this webinar. So it is not a secret that doing business in China never was easy. The business culture is different from the Western one, and many deals are finalized face-to-face meetings, over dinner, or during social occasions. The rep offices and agencies' position during the pandemic become more influential and requires a lot of energy and investment in preliminary research and preparation. There is a need to find the right balance in listening to the Chinese team and at the same time maintaining the brand values and long-term strategy. So there are no quick successes in China. It always was like this, and especially relevant during COVID times. Due to local regulations, offline trade shows have been cancelled or postponed. And the offline opportunities previously were quite common. Those were the occasions to meet with existing and potential partners, communicate with competitors, understand the current trends, and get the feeling of future development. Now, with the travel restrictions, the sources of information significantly reduced. When it comes to professional info, most likely it will be provided by your rep or partners as main media channels, or even industry newsletters cannot cover the whole scope of Chinese affairs. Although China is one country, however, it is the most diverse place probably in the sense of target market. There is a difference in consumption in first and second tier cities, and obviously in third and fourth tier cities, as the level of income varies, suppliers and distributors have their different priorities. And COVID also brought interruption of supply and distribution chain. And to gain back the control over distribution from afar is also quite complex while being remote. Sienna, next slide, please. Thank you. Now, most of the issues I just mentioned can be solved. However, as human beings, we still must have a human connection. While we are away in our own bubbles, I mean, our country bubbles, it is especially important to be connected and virtually present in China. Below some of the key advantages of online presence, which are super relevant these days. So the first one is online presence, regardless of which platform you use, is always there. It is a click away from the partner or the consumer. It is available 24/7 and for the period of time which you choose to define. The customization and flexibility are extremely important in such dynamic and versatile environment like China. With a trustworthy China-based team, which is managing a social media account or online trade platform, you can make adjustments in a short period of time and add more products to your digital portfolio. The fact it can be easily shared and promoted helps a lot during the times when trade shows in China are not accessible. Basically, every online channel or platform you choose to use, either on B2B or B2C level, can be shared within a Widget ecosystem and at times also between different platforms. The data accumulation and analysis is one of the biggest key advantages. No need to print business cards or brochures and place them on your booth or feel the need to give it out to a partner when you meet in person. Digitalization makes it easier, user-friendly, and sustainable. The online booth can have an option of downloading the material, view introduction video, and your e-business card can be stored under your WeChat personal account that you share with the person you meet either online or offline. Due to the recent regulations of China regarding data privacy, you may need to pay close attention to adapting strategies and marketing tactics. And one of the potential solutions may be to create a few online channels, while each channel will be focusing on different target audience and support target marketing. And if you have questions later on, we can talk more about those new regulations. Next slide, thank you. So probably all of you heard about WeChat. It's not a new thing. And many of you probably using it when communicating with Chinese friends, clients, or partners. And some of you, like myself, perhaps using it on a daily basis to survive in a daily life in China. It is an online universe, an ecosystem, something you must befriend while in China or in order to understand better your audience and your clients. So Tencent is a tech conglomerate which focusing on video games, media, and entertainment, but mostly known for WeChat, with its more than 1.2 billion users in China and more than 150 million users around the world. So WeChat is an operating system that includes online payment, live services, social media, games, and content. For users, it is a daily communication channel and tool, a way to make life easier and convenient, and also a source of information and content. But for businesses, it is a platform to position their brand, create sales leads, collect data, and receive payment. It has a built-in translation for international users and has a business version. In Chinese, it's 企业微信, WeCom, that can be partly synchronized with personal WeChat account. According to recent surveys, WeChat functions grab 36% of online user attention, while Douyin, it's a Chinese TikTok, number 2 with only 16%. So today we are going to focus on some of the tools that WeChat ecosystem can offer for efficient marketing and solving challenges of being remote. Next slide, please. Thank you. So first we focus on WeChat mini program. Basically, it is an app that's embedded in the WeChat and located on the Tencent cloud. It allows to share its users' info and synchronize with other tools on Tencent cloud. There are hundreds of thousands of mini programs out there. They're used for food delivery, sharing bikes, health codes, sales, e-commerce, online trade shows, webinars, e-learning, and many, many more things. You can discover the mini programs by swooping down while you're using the WeChat, by scanning QR code, or if someone shared it with you through a message. You don't need to download it, and it is a big advantage when comparing to traditional apps. In addition to raising brand awareness and client retention, it can be used for O2O, online to offline strategy implementation. And here on the right side of the slide, you can see a mini app that was developed for Bacardi, both to drive sales and to drive traffic to their offline shop. The sales can be done through gamification, campaign activation, QR code sharing, coupons, members activities, and more. The challenge is to understand what's the main purpose of your mini program, as there are many possibilities and it can be customized according to clients' needs. A mini program for brand positioning and raising awareness will have different functions than the one that's used to collect leads and increase sales. Mini programs that combine the two also exist. However, it's not always easy to navigate through them for users. And sometimes it's worth to consider to create 2 mini programs or create WeChat account and a mini program. This way, the two can complement each other and synchronize data. Next slide. Thank you. So similar to B2C mini programs, those which focus on B2B marketing can add functions that will serve better B2B strategy in China. Mini programs are a very good tool to enhance partnerships and increase product awareness with the Chinese side. It's easy to create an interaction and engagement, especially relevant for series of webinars that company wants to communicate its product specifications, get immediate response, engage with a quiz or Q&A session, educate the audience, or collect leads and data. Some of the functions of B2C mini program can also be included in B2B version to make the user experience more attractive. On the right-hand side, you can find two mini programs. One was customized to introduce Japan travel-related content to Chinese travel industry, a kind of e-learning course which can be easily accessed. And after user finish reading the content and answers the questions correctly, of course, an expert certificate will be issued. The reward tactics usually has a very positive impact on the amount of users and mini program viewership rate. The other one is a Thailand webinar with the presentations by a few local business partners, brief product intro, Q&A session, and lead collection that assist with partner management. For both B2C and B2B mini programs, there is a term in Chinese. It's a 私域流量, which is directly translated to private traffic. It is a tool which is essential for client retention, customer care, and community management, and all those things can be done through a mini program. Next slide. Thank you. So H5, I'm not sure how many of you heard about this technology before or this tool before, but it's very cool. In simple words, H5 is a mobile-based web page. It has its origins in HTML5 technology, which many of you know probably. It's cost-effective. It can be easily customized according to events that need to be promoted or another purpose, such as digital booth, campaign, etc. It can include a few pages linked to your WeChat account or official website. May have basic intro about the company, interactive activity, or gamification to attract audience. It can collect data about users that can be accumulated and analyzed. It's easily shared through QR code or a digital poster. In the example on the right-hand side, H5 that was designed for Air France campaign and included sales leads and raised brand awareness. For B2B purposes, it can be a great tool to drive traffic to the website, which ideally should be designed for Chinese market and based on server in China mainland or connected to WeChat account. Due to travel restrictions, H5 can serve also as a digital booth of a company with contact details, product intro, short video, and download the option for promotional materials. It can be reviewed by scanning QR code in a physical location or by sharing it within WeChat ecosystem. So basically, it's a very good solution for those of you who cannot make it to China to be present in the booth, but you know, this QR code can be placed on the physical booth in one of the trade shows that's still happening in China, and allows the visitors to scan the QR code and follow to get information about your product. Next slide, please. So as you know, since the pandemic started, the market of online or virtual roadshows had grown rapidly. There are now many different kinds of virtual trade shows, 2D, 3D roadshows with avatars, and many, many more. So basically, the technology is there. However, the challenge is to, make this function user-friendly and practical. When it comes to China, the virtual trade show or roadshow that our team created before the pandemic is simply based on the technology of mini program. However, it is more advanced and have all the functions that are necessary to conduct business, have sales calls, and introduce the product. The basic functions of mini program are there, fully customized. It's a white label. It can have unlimited number of co-exhibitors, easily promoted and shared through QR code, data collection and management, and the meeting is scheduled by preference and by AI system when the system suggesting you potential partner for the meeting according to the information you provide and according to information that your potential partner provides. The platform is accessible through mobile device and via browser, so it can be accessed also from China and from overseas. Additional functions can be adjusted, such as keynote speeches, webinars, conferences, networking events, etc. So it's all online, it's all within this tool. All those make the user experience as if he or she are attending offline trade show. On the right-hand side, you can see some of the projects we've done in the last year or so. So one is a New Zealand education fair, including opening conference, Canada Trade Mission online fair with the co-exhibitors from 3 industries presenting their product and services to Chinese partners. And the last one is the French Tourism Roadshow, which includes presentation from partners and one-on-one meetings. Next slide, please. Yeah, so here you basically can see those print screen, how it looks like on the PC. On the left-hand side, you can try and scan those QR codes, and it will take you to the actual online event. So if you scan and you log in, you can try it by yourself and have a first-hand experience. And on the right-hand side, the image is of online conversation. The platform allows to have a communication between up to 8 participants live online with cameras, and obviously it allows you to invite also translator to be part of the conversation and bring in partners from various places. Next slide, please. With the gradual opening in China and the return of offline conferences, the trade shows, the new type of services had appeared, and this is a hybrid show. The perfect solution to reach out to the audience outside China via live streaming and other interactive tools with minimum cost during the offline event, whether it is in China or overseas. After setting up the equipment, making sure that bandwidth is sufficient, event organizer can broadcast the event and the audience can watch it on their mobile by scanning a QR code. Additional features such as a poll, Q&A from the audience, leaving comments, all available and depends on the platform that you're using. In the previous cases, one of the biggest advantages are, as in previous cases, one of the biggest advantages is the data collection and lead generation. There is no limit to number of views. The recording is there and it can be reviewed later on or edited and shared with your key partners for future reference. Obviously, no travel cost is required and international speakers can attend it online. It is super common trend these days in China due to travel restrictions. And definitely something that we can keep in mind. In the 2 images on the right-hand side, you can see those 2 events that we've done. One is with the Shanghai port. It was broadcasted to the professionals and partners of the organization all around China. And the second one is a digital marketing award ceremony with more than 50 VIP guests present in Beijing, and more than 200 people viewed the event online. And both online and offline audience could vote for their favorite digital marketing case study. Next slide, please. Yeah, so last slide, it's not as much related to WeChat, but it's also very important in my opinion. So we covered Tencent cloud solutions so far, and how to reach to partners and consumers in China while being remote. But here I want to remind myself, remind all of us that the most basic online communication or relations starts from a single message, a greeting, or even a phone call for those of us who don't have a language barrier. It can start with designing a greeting card for Chinese holiday or other festive occasions such as Christmas or New Year. The design ideally will be done according to some Chinese traditional visual elements. Another thing to pay attention is to, making sure that when you schedule a meeting, you choose a platform that is operating in China. And before making a call, choose a company that is providing high quality translation services. And it's always good to spend some time with the translator before the call, so that he or she aware of your business characteristics and needs. Personal or company QR code design is good to have. If you make it artistic, inspiring, unforgettable, there's a good chance that your partners also would like to share it with their friends, etc. And another, you can see on the right hand side something we've done for American Express and Israel, example of innovative QR code. Another option is to have a sticker, design sticker for a company or organization. This is a super cool thing to do. And so far, each client we had was really happy about it. Needless to mention that those easily shared and can raise brand awareness, plus communicate company values and specifications in a very fun and cool way. Last but not least, it's an online environment that we are now, we have to face it, something that most of us got used to it already, working remotely. Ideally, we will have a bookshelf and give an impression of a scholar. However, sometimes we are busy with our daily lives and don't pay attention to how our background looks like, or if our phone is on mute, and so on and so forth. So all of those, just a glimpse into a new reality of online business culture that takes place, instead of the Chinese traditional business culture. And when face-to-face meetings put on hold, we have to maximize the tools that the digital world provides us. So make sure to utilize it. And next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So this is my QR code of my WeChat. As our webinar is about online tools, so you're welcome to scan it and add me on WeChat. And if you have any questions or comments or advices, anything, please feel free to let me know. And thank you so much for your attention. Thank you, Sienna.
Thanks, Bora. Thanks. I just wanted to say one thing about the stickers that you mentioned. So if we go back one slide, so I think they're alpacas. There are some stickers on WeChat that we designed for the Peruvian tourism board. And I would say, as somebody, I've been working with all the colleagues at Dragon Trail for over 4 years now, from the UK. And so mostly using WeChat for all of our work communication. And I think that WeChat stickers are extremely important. It's funny to have kind of you're having a serious kind of business talk and asking people to do work and collaborating and things, but then sometimes I think sending an animated WeChat sticker of a bunny saying thank you and giving some flowers or something, that is really doesn't seem like the Western way of working. It doesn't seem very formal, but I think it goes a very long way to kind of establishing relationships and trust and a friendly atmosphere with Chinese colleagues and partners. So don't underestimate those WeChat stickers, and you can have them designed especially for your business. So the ones here we designed for Prom Peru, and there are also new ones coming out soon, designed especially for the Polish tourism board. So there's a lot you can do with those.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one last comment. I see that some questions coming up in the chat, so just a kind reminder to post them in the Q&A, so that we don't miss them later on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bora. Yeah, if too many things get posted into the chat, then it's very hard to keep track of them. But if you send in your questions with Q&A, then they stay there and we can see that if they've been answered or not. So it's it's the right way to do it. So thank you, and I
we will
think
try our best anyway.
yeah, we'll turn over to Yael now.
Hi, everyone, and thank you. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Okay, is it okay? Can you see me and the screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, great.
perfect, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna follow Bora's lead actually, and we'll probably turn off my camera, mostly because I'm a bit worried of the connection from here. But I first wanted to say hello and introduce myself. So as Sienna said, my name is Yael. I work for PTL Group as a China marketing manager and in business development. Previous to PTL Group, I owned my own company in China, in Shanghai, for a little more than 10 years, and I was in travel. So when the pandemic started, I had to close down, and lucky for me, I ended up at PTL, which was a good place to find myself in. So for those of us who don't know what PTL is and what we do, let me share just a quick introduction. PTL Group was established in 2000, and since then we've worked with about 300 international companies throughout their entering and growth within the Chinese market, growth stages, of course. We provide different management services that cover most of the back office related parts of the operation, from recruitment and HR management to import and export, finance management, and even manufacturing or e-commerce, which is a new thing that we started doing this year. Our services are usually tailor-made for each project so that we can best support your needs in China. Among our 300 clients, you can see just a few here. Not all from Israel, I have to say, although our founder is Israeli originally. So what I'm going to talk more about today is how do you engage with your team in China, or with your suppliers in China, or your partners in China. And one of the first things that we've been asked all the time, do I really need to have a presence in China then? And I think because it's more than just engaging with clients, existing or potential ones. When we talk about business in China and more in the operational context, yes, you do need to have a presence in China. At least that is the simple, quick question that I can provide, or at least you should. I'm talking about not just because of opportunities, just the sheer size of the market that, of course, is appealing to a lot of us, but also because your brand might already be here, even if you don't think or did anything intentional to bring your brand here. So, and definitely for sure, you probably have already a competitor or two in your industry that is here in China. And therefore, to some extent, I even dare to say you cannot not allow yourself to not be in China. But do you really have to have a presence, or how can you have a presence? One of the biggest things, of course, that Bora also mentioned, you cannot travel to China. So how do you establish a presence here? Well, you'd be surprised that even if you are selling products to China, you can have some sort of an operation here, even without being yourself on ground or sending your people, let's say, to China from abroad. We can talk about e-commerce that you can start doing even from outside of China. And we can talk about establishing your own operational team here by recruiting locals. And all of that can be done by agents. So again, you don't have to be physically traveling to China. I want to tell you, for example, give you an example. of one of our clients who is producing food supplements. And when they approached us, we tried to look on what are their opportunities of entering into the market. And we checked, of course, online as well. They said that they are not yet present in China, but we've managed to find them on e-commerce platforms. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of the differences in the platforms here, so I'll review very, very, very quickly. Most of you probably heard of Tmall Global, which is operated by Alibaba. But of course, there are others. And so there are two ways of doing e-commerce. One is cross-border and one is local. Cross-border usually is done by international companies that don't necessarily want to rush into listing their products within China. These are the specifics. I'm not going to go too much into the details. But one of the ways of selling here is on the sister platform of Tmall, which is Taobao. If you want to compare it, it's a little bit like eBay, which means that anyone can technically sell almost anything there, including Chinese who live overseas and could go to whatever supermarket they have in the neighborhood and buy there those food supplements that they find and post it on e-commerce in China. And then if they have someone buying it from here, they would just ship it by, mail, regular mail. So that specific client's products were already in the market, not in big quantities, not a lot of buyers, but they were here and they didn't even know about it. So on one hand, you can say, oh my God, then how do I even control that? Well, you can't, not really, but definitely can use it in terms of if there is already awareness in the market, follow it up, see how many people are buying it. It means that there is a place for you in the Chinese market. So e-commerce is just one of the ways that you can start selling products, physical products in China. Another way, of course, is manufacturing them here. So from starting a small assembly line to a full manufacturing facility, these can all be done via agents, local ones. So totally doable. The second thing is sales. So how do you do sales? And again, of course, we have e-commerce and online options, but we also have offline options. And the best one that we, throughout our 20 years of operation in China, recommend is hire someone from your industry to manage those sales in the market. Another very common way of working here is working with local distributors or local partners. There are the cons and pros for those as well. Again, I'm not going to go into the specifics just because of time restrictions, but I'm very happy to answer your questions later if you'd like. And the last thing that we're talking about is branding. And this is something that Dragon Trail, of course, is doing, is helping you promote your brand and do marketing in China. And I would stress that and even say you can start do that before establishing a whole team, before coming into China, before starting to sell in China. This could actually be a good way of checking if your brand, if what you're selling is something that is relevant for the Chinese market, kind of like test the local taste of the market. So definitely all of these can be done via agents and by local agents. The trick is, of course, to find the right one that will give you and provide you what you want. Moving forward, I want to share with you some interesting numbers. So we took and combined several surveys done by different chambers in China from different countries into this graph that you see here. And basically what it says that we see throughout the last 4 or 5 years, a decrease in the number of companies leaving China. Okay, so if in 2017, we could talk about 31% of the companies that tried their luck in China deciding to leave and move to other Asian countries. In 2020, that percentage dropped to 13%. And I think we included in this combined survey results that we are presenting here, 8 different surveys from those different chambers of commerces. So you see the numbers decrease. Now, remember, these are companies that already have an active operation in China. So it means that if they started in the market, there is less chance for them that they want to leave, which is a good thing, actually, if you think about it. Interesting enough, if we are talking about manufacturing, there is even somewhat a wave of returning to China. I don't know if you've been aware of a lot of companies that decided to move their manufacturing facilities outside of China due to costs rising. Finding out that many of them, found out that operating outside of China is not as lucrative as they thought it was. Yes, the costs went down, but a lot of other troubles and hardships were added up. And so we actually saw last year and the year before quite a lot of these brands that moved themselves outside of China trying to return into China. So that's an interesting trend that we've been watching. So that this graph shows, and that's what I hope you will take from it, that if you are planning to work in China, the chance is small for you to leave if you already started. And I want to stress, though, one of the things that Bora said, that it's not an easy or a quick entry to China. Yes, you will need to prepare for 2, 3, 4 years of building your brand, of building your sales, of building your operation here and learning the market. You probably will fail once or twice or have some not so good experiences, as it could happen entering any new market. But if you are here to stay, according to this graph, most likely you wouldn't want to leave. Another thing that I can share, and this is from a survey that we gathered among existing clients of PTL Group that we are managing at the moment, which is a little more than 100 active clients. We checked their status throughout 2021 and how they've been dealing with COVID, despite the closed borders and despite the fact that they could not send their management from HQ into China. 70%, if you combine this green and blue parts, 70% of our clients reported that 2021 was a positive year. And among them, 27% said it was, they experienced good steady growth, and 6% said it was the best year ever. In November, there was one of those exhibitions that still take place in China. And we've met with a local team of one of our clients, all of them Chinese, by the way, no foreigners in that team, which is true to most of the teams of our clients at the moment. And we got a call from their HQ. They wanted to see the booth. They wanted to see how the team is doing. And we asked them, so how was 2021? What do you think about your operation in China? And said, you won't believe it. It was better than previous years. And even though we couldn't travel to China, they managed a lot of the things online. And they saw a huge growth, which for us means that if some companies still, or some international companies, and we hear that a lot from new potential clients that are trying to enter the Chinese market, if there is some concern on can I trust a local team to build my company, to run forward with growing operation and sales, our answer would be definitely yes. If you choose the right people, if you train them correctly, yes, you can definitely rely on them to help you grow in the market. And you can see our numbers from our own clients. They speak for themselves. So one of the things that I really want to stress, if you are planning, if you are thinking, if you are already operating in China, and this is something that I actually carry also from my travel days, from the days in the travel industry. One of the things that I remember a lot is the ideas that I heard from, and I had to explain a lot about things that are happening in China. So how things look from here and done from here and experience from here that you might not be aware of or read about them in a different way outside of China, which is understandable. We all read, our local news. So to work with China remotely, I specifically believe that you should understand a bit more about how things are done here and viewed here and seen here. And if you take anything from me today, I hope this will be the one major tip that you should take. Always try to look at the local perspective as well, especially from here in China. And try to read and find. And actually, if we going back to WeChat, a lot of official accounts are publishing a lot of very interesting information about what's going on in China from the Chinese perspective. And it's all in English, so relatively easy to follow. And so let's give you a very big example. You probably read and heard about nationalism, the trend of nationalism a rise of nationalism in China. So not only in politics, made in China is becoming more and more a consumption trend. And especially within younger generations, that with growing interest in China's culture, in traditions, and as a result from that, growing interest in domestic brands. And it started actually with guochao, which is what you see on the left side corner. Guochao literally means national tide. And it started in fashion and cosmetics. So there was kind of a call to buy more local made or local designed products. And though the trend is still far from throwing international brands outside of the market, you can see how they react to it. And one of the famous examples that I love bringing up is Snickers, the chocolate and nuts bar that we all know from wherever we live. Here in China, they started creating a different brand, a different product that is completely localized and catered only to the Chinese market. I don't think I've seen it being distributed in other places around East or Southeast Asia. And that would be a chocolate bar, but in the flavor of sweet purple potato. Yes, you heard it right, sweet purple potato. I don't have a picture of it, unfortunately. I was planning to put one here, but maybe I can ask Sienna to send it to you later with the follow-up email. But anyways, this is one of those things of adapting to local trends. And to be able to adapt to local trends, you of course, have to understand it. And this takes us from guochao to decoupling, which you probably also heard about. And if you haven't, decoupling is another way of, let's say, looking at nationalism or the rise in interest in local products. Decoupling talks about lost my words. Creating your products, really, really localizing your products and making sure that they fit the local market. And one of the things and one of the tips and advices that we give our clients a lot lately, if you are selling in China, stop bringing your things from outside of China, your products. Start your assembly line, start your manufacturing, do whatever you need to do to sell to China from China. There's a big trend going towards there. It's not just the trend, it's also, you can see it also in government subsidies and push to buy more made in China. And even if you are an international brand, when you are manufacturing in China, when you are sourcing in China, when you are assembled in China, you can put that made in China on your brands, which means a lot to the local market. Now, if we talk about engagement, for us, it will be more in the HR, let's say, area. PTL Group employs close to 300 employees, some of them under us and some of them under our clients' business licenses. And we manage all of these employees and we manage their relationship of the employees here in China with their HQ outside of China, which is in almost definitely in every continent around the world. I wanted to say almost every country, but no, I cannot go that far, but for many different countries. And so we see some trends and we see some things that we think it's worthy to point out if you are dealing with your own employees. But I think that's also interesting to understand if you're dealing with distributors or with your partners here in China. And the first thing will be the experience that we have of the pandemic, which it can be addressed in so many different ways. Not only how it was viewed and the way that the world talked about the pandemic, but the actual personal experience of people. In China, we went back to work from the office already in March 2020. To remind you, the pandemic started in January, officially started in January 24th with the Wuhan lockdown in 23rd. January 23rd, 2020. So that if we want to put that date as a marking spot, that might be, the beginning of the pandemic. In China, we went back to work from the office already in March. And the culture of working in the office, to having that structure, to having that, specific times that you work within, it's super important and something that we did not lose here in China. Whilst in many other countries, employees actually got used to work from home and to have their time more flexible and to deal with more things, not so much in person. So when dealing in China and with Chinese people, keep that in mind. Your perspective of and your experience of how different places handle the pandemic is different. And actually, you can use it to start a conversation that is not just work related, get to know the people a bit more personally, which is something that in China valued greatly. But if you cannot do it, in face-to-face, at least make an effort to do that online. So yeah, staying connected despite closed borders is more than just, as we said, sitting in online meetings. Try to make those meetings a little bit less work related sometimes, or dedicate the time to have meetings that are not just work related. I'm going back to what Bora said about the simple stuff of sending a message, of greetings, of acknowledging holidays or special events. And that goes back also to stay connected with what's happening in China, because a lot is happening here. So showing in a way that you are versed in, what's happening in China, it goes much longer and way further than, just getting on a meeting and showing that business-wise, what you're doing. And so, yes, the final thing that I want to say, make that effort. I mean, if it is important for you to work with China and with Chinese people, regardless if they are your employees, your partners, your distributors, your clients, for sure, make that effort to know more, to do more, not just engage in business. So yes, what are your ways of doing that? Another aspect of the human relationships that we talk about is working, as we said, distributors, clients, partners, especially if you were just entering the Chinese market, but also if you already have a working operation, diversify your channels. And this is what I want you to take from here. Don't only think of one way, unless of course you're a very, very small operation, but even if, because you are working remotely and you cannot be physically on ground to supervise things, try or consider to diversify just a little bit. So maybe consider e-commerce more seriously. And we talked about cross-border e-commerce that is less demanding in terms of licensing and registering a company here. This could be an option. Manufacturing in China for China, again, addressing the trend of made in China, maybe reaching out to more potential clients that are looking for the made in China products, easing on yourself everything that has to do with supply chain. If you need to ship your things to China all the time, ship your products, that's especially now going to cost you a lot more than it used to be. And it's going to probably take longer than expected. So delaying your business in China is not the best thing you want to do. And the last thing, monitor expenses closely. So one of the things that you can do because you are remote is trust on a local partner that would run, let's say, your finances or run part of your operation. And again, all of these that you see here can be done by local agents, can be done by local partners to help you supervise those specific channels. So if you decide to work with one partner on one channel, you can always work with other partners on different channels, kind of like diversify your portfolio in China and hopefully grow your sales at least in one of them, but also being able to supervise your operation from different perspectives, making sure that no one is, I don't want to say it this way, but that nothing has been stolen, let's say, or nothing has been taken that you don't have control over because you cannot physically come here. Sorry. Okay, so one case study that I really want to share, and I think that's about my last slide. Then we can go to Q&A. One of our clients, and I apologize, but of course I cannot share any names. What I can say that they are from Europe, and they are in the furniture industry. They started with us, I think it was back in 2015, and they've been operating, they started very small, very slowly to operate in China by figuring out the market and trying to build some sales. And so the first thing that they did, they recruited a local employees. And we've helped with all of that, recruitment and then HR management. We still manage their employees until today. By recruitment and with our advice, we also told them, make sure you recruit someone from your industry because they will bring the right connections, they would bring the right knowledge and understanding of the market in China. And that's what they did. The second thing that they did was supply chain management. So they are shipping their huge, and their products are very big machines. They're shipping them into China with our supply chain department. So we've managed all of that as well here, including the warehousing and distribution within China for the project that they need. The financial management that we provide for them is not just, for the purchase and the buying stuff, but also for their employees. So payroll and reimbursements if needed. And you won't believe how crucial that could be, because if an employee is for some reasons trying to steal from you, and they are the ones managing your finance, you would never know. But if your finance are managed by an external service provider, which is the case here, those employees cannot do anything without your supervision. You have an extra eyes on that as well. So it's a simple tool, but a powerful tool. And the last thing that they are now considering doing, 6 years into the market, they grew exponentially. I think about a 1000% kind of thing. They really, really grew, and also from a team of one person to a team of 8 people and selling really incredibly in China. They're now looking at assembly line within China, especially with the difficulties of shipping their big machines into China with the pandemic restrictions. So setting up an assembly line in China will require, of course, hiring local engineers and training them. All of that is going to happen online, and with some of the tools that Bora mentioned as well, especially WeChat. So just to show you that, yes, you can have a presence in China. My personal opinion is, yes, you should have a presence in China, but there are different ways for you to do that, even if you are remote and cannot move into China at the moment, if you cannot physically be here. It is definitely doable to have your operation in China, to have your sales in China, and a presence in China. So that was me, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I did not include my my personal WeChat account here, but you have our company WeChat account here and my email, and I'm very happy to answer any of your questions.
Thanks, Yael. We are about to move on to Q&A, but before we do so, I just wanted to make a quick announcement about Dragon Trail's next webinar, which is coming up. So I'll just get that on the screen there. Coming up on the 12th of January next year. And this webinar is very much targeted at the travel and hospitality industries. We'll be talking about the biggest Chinese travel trends of 2021 and what that means for marketing and product development for destinations and travel businesses overseas. I will be running that webinar at 2 times to suit different time zones. And during the first session, we will also be joined by George Tsao, who is Dragon Trail's CEO and co-founder. And you can find the links to register for the webinar in the slides that I'll be sending out today or tomorrow on this slide where it says click here. And you can also find it right away by going to the Dragon Trail website and going to the events section of the website and clicking on the webinar there. So on that note, I see that we have quite a lot of questions. So I'd like to ask Yael and Bora to join again.